daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always today, joined by my good friend, a wonderful co-host, Zach and Finch. How you doing, mate? You all right? You're good?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. It's that, like, the problem is I'm still at work, and the week before Christmas, just go.
Oh no, just
kind
end of sentence, mate. End of sentence. I'm still at work.
Yeah, it's been significantly busier than I'd have liked it to have been, considering it's the week of Christmas. So, but it is what it is. We go again. I've done my wrapping, so at least that's out of the way.
Oh, that's something. Oh, I still need to go and get presents for my wife, so wish me luck on Christmas Eve. Look, as you alluded to, it's been busy. It's always busy. There's always football to keep us busy. And one of our favourite episodes that we started doing this year is a nice little championship roundup. So I guess, mate, let's just get straight into it. As always, I'm going to go reverse chronologically, pseudo-alphabetically, or like you like to say, in the order it is on BBC Sport. And
much better and less confusing for me. Yeah, thank you, mate.
And start with Friday night's fixture, the fixture of Wales, right? Is it
this was a wild game. Me and you both watched bits of this, right?
Yeah, I was watching it. It was
It didn't flatter Welsh football, and that's putting it in a nice way.
Definitely didn't flatter goalkeepers in Welsh football anyway, that's for sure.
You're right. This is one of those situations where I think you said that, like, you'd think that I remember you texted me saying it would be curtains for Baz if this happened, right? And watching it back, shocking, isn't it? Right, it's not good.
I saw someone describe it as if Onana had signed for Wrexham. Like it was calamitous.
It was like you feel for the guy, but also like it's hopefully doesn't do anything like that the same. But if they go down by like a point, you can't help but think about those moments, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at. But
I mean, it saved the graces of Burgess, who scored his third own goal in as many weeks.
That's what I mean. Like you said, it's not great for goalkeepers, but it's not great for either side. If you scored 3 own goals in a couple of weeks, and then
it's a hell of a finish.
True. Yeah, it'd be really good if it was at the right end of the net. Maybe they should just swap in places. If he keeps doing that, the striker. This is like when we talk about like putting, Joe Aribo in centre back and putting Taylor Harbour-Bellis up front. Maybe there's some logic to that. Who knows?
Yeah,
you're putting it way better than you're defending it.
Yeah, I mean, like they were talking about it on Sky Sports, and a 1 own goal is unfortunate, and then 2 in a season is like pretty bad and really unlucky. 3 in a season would be really like poor form. 3 in 2 games is
it's a bad day, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you base that on last season for us at like this point in the season, and that would be as many as goals any single player had scored for us. Like at this point, right? Like 3 would have put him top of the scorers list. So 3 own goals.
Yeah, it didn't flatter. Other random bit of Wrexham news that you might have forgotten, Greg, is that Jay Rodriguez has been added back to their registered squad. Do you remember that Jay Rod still played for them?
I did not.
So yeah, maybe we talked about that at our season opener, that maybe we'll get to see him, and I think he went out injured, and I think everybody forgot. And not to take credit away from the second tier podcast that tweeted it out about 10 minutes ago, going exactly the same as you, Greg. Completely forgot Jay Rodriguez was still at Wrexham. There you go. How timely.
Yeah, you're right. A fascinating game, and Swansea getting the win 2-1. I mean, No, yeah, crazy stuff happening. What was the goalkeeper doing, man? Honestly. Honestly.
But he had a
Moving
bad
on.
day.
He definitely did. Moving on to Saturday lunchtime. Blackburn 2, Millwall 0. I mean, that's an interesting result, right? It's not what you'd expect from that game. Blackburn sort of struggling down at the bottom in pretty poor form, and Millwall, I mean, up until last week, were in pretty good form, and it's a pretty strange result.
I thought Blackburn did all right when they played us. I mean, so I'm not really surprised that they were able to kind of get those sort of plucky wins out of nowhere, and it's a second home win for them. That's probably very important. And yeah, Millwall wobbling a little bit, right? There's a reason that they've not been in the Premier League for a long time, if ever, right? I genuinely don't know enough about Millwall to tell you. I'm not going to BS and be like, wow, the last time they're in the league, because I don't think they ever have been, but I might just be ignorant.
I feel like they definitely were. I feel like we've played them in the Premier League. Yeah. They spent a lot of time. Yeah, not in our lifetime.
So not in the Premier League, mate. The first division. what you've done there is mix up a bunch of teams in your head and be like, yeah, I've seen that kit in the Premier League before. It's like
they were in the Premier League in 2000 to 2001, and they finished 20th. So that's fully well
in our lifetime. But I was still only about 8-9 years old, mate. So okay, either way, ignorance aside, you can see they're wobbling a little bit, right? From like sort of third dropping down to sixth, and 2 losses on the bounce now. I guess from their perspective, they just need to try and get back to it. But I don't think that they would have been expecting it. Do you know their goal difference is -6? For sixth, that's kind of nuts.
That's kind of crazy for someone that high up the table. To be honest, that's fascinating. I mean, they've got some tough fixtures coming up. Millwall, they got Ipswich on Boxing Day, and then Bristol City on the 29th, and then us on New Year's Day. So you wouldn't fancy on them turning it around in that short period of time, really.
Well, that's good for us, though, isn't it? So that's what we got to capitalise on.
That's it.
Or just try and capitalise in general, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, on anything. Next on the list, another Saturday lunchtime kickoff. Preston North End 1, Norwich City 1. A couple of late goals. Norwich thinking they'd won the game with an 85th minute goal, and then Preston equalising in the 97th minute.
We've learnt that harsh lesson, right, of celebrating too early and shutting off, and even in our game against Coventry, right? Like we switched off for I think we were talking about it, right? That switched off for what couple of seconds, and then we were punished for it. And I think that's the case in games like this. You play right up into the final whistle, and sometimes people don't. No. That's the outcome. But again, fair play to Preston. Consistently.
It's a fascinating one because honestly, on the table of form, that's an excellent point for Norwich. But again, because of the way that's happened, that's going to feel like points dropped. And much needed points. Norwich now sitting all the way down in 23rd. It's
I don't know. Again, I'm still bitter, and I think I'm going to be bitter for years, Greg. So where I'm at is, boo-hoo. And I'll allow myself to be bitter. And Preston, who I remember how mad we were after our defeat to Preston, right? Which ended up being what Still's last game.
Yeah,
but they're on merit. They're fifth. They're doing it. They're grinding. They're doing the us right of the other year of just managing to grind out quite a lot of draws with the occasional win in between, and that's just keeping them in it. And sometimes you just got to do that, and it seems to be working for them. Fair play. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and in the other lunchtime kickoff, Southampton 1, Coventry 1, which we covered in depth yesterday. And if you want to hear all of our thoughts and opinions on that and on Frank Lampard in particular, go back and give it a listen. Definitely
us, every other Saints fan, every other Saints podcast, we will have lots of opinions about Frank Lampard that maybe we didn't have as much of the day before, but
I stand by that. I love to see it in football. That's exactly what, for me, it's all about. A bit of ribbing and a bit of entertainment is what we all love to see. Right, before we move in to the 3:00 games, let's have a little break and hear a message from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique.
Okay, mate, and we are back. So moving on to the 3:00 kickoffs. Bristol City 2, Middlesbrough 0. I mean, Bristol proving why they're still up and amongst it, right? Right up there. Maybe a surprising loss for Middlesbrough, who, on that point had won 4 on the bounce. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's about a bit of a wobble, aren't they, really? You didn't really expect it from them. But at the same time, considering they dominated possession for most of that game, and they still managed to lose, it's kind of, it's not too good. I feel bad for them a little bit, but at the same time, it's only good for us to potentially increase our prospects, and obviously even more beneficial for Coventry, because it wouldn't have really mattered if they'd won one loss or drawn, to be honest. Which I guess kind of annoys me a little bit more, because those 2 points would have been far more valuable to us, right? They would have only put us back into sort of 10th, but we're trying to climb up the table, and any help we can get, I'll take. But less than ideal. It's probably the first. I can't remember. It's the first time they've lost in a while, right?
Yeah, and like I say, before this, 4 wins on the bounce, and then this loss. So, yeah, I mean, getting into the sort of money end of the season, right, where this busy fixture schedule really starts to, I don't want to say separate the wheat from the chaff, but it really puts players and pushes them to their physical limit, because it really does start to come thick and fast, basically until the end of January now. Next on the list, Charlton Athletic 1, Oxford 0. Charlton ending their very unfortunate demise in form, still even with that win, all the way down in 17th after such a promising start.
Yeah, well, they're lucky that they got those wins early doors, right? And then obviously they came up against us, and the whole thing was going to be, we were getting prepared for banter stations, right? We were ready to be absolutely sort of having to deal with Nathan Jones's, stick. And then obviously the result was we battered them. And then since then, they've really not managed to find their feet. And I think they managed to pull a draw out the bag when we last chatted, right? And, to quote unquote stop the rot. And then now, managed to get a win. But at the same time, it's not somebody that you'd expect them to be, but it is a member of their cohort, right? Coming up.
It's part of that bottom part of the table, sort of struggling and languishing down there. Now sat in 22nd. It's, I mean, Oxford, struggling as well, right? It's been a tough year for them. And they also don't have a very good run of fixtures, Zach, because obviously they play us next. So.
Yep. And I feel like, judging based off of form and how we're doing and where we're at, hopefully it's a nice one to turn around our current spell of sort of mediocrity. It's not even mediocrity. We did really, really well, and then we've just had 2 games that, we lost one a bit silly, and then somehow couldn't get the ball in the back of the net a second time in our last game. So it's not. Maybe I worry about underestimating them, but it is one that I'm not hugely surprised that with how well Charlton have done so far, that they managed to kind of do over their quote unquote League One cohorts. So
yeah, interesting indeed. Right, the next fixture on the list: Derby County 1, Portsmouth 1. I mean, Derby gaining more points, right? Like, since we were told they were rubbish and not expected to do anything this year. I know it's only a point to Pompey, but
Derby are on the same amount of points as us, mate.
Yeah.
And I think we're only ahead by goal difference, and not by a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's that.
Pompey sort of dragged themselves out of the relegation zone.
By the skin of their teeth, right? A win and a draw is the only thing that's really kept them out.
Mm.
And, with Norwich supposedly sort of getting back to where you'd expect them to be, they are really going to struggle. If we can beat Oxford, well, I'll probably end up doing them a favour, but which I never like to do, but it is what it is. They're going to have to do something more. Like if they lose Jacob Murphy, I don't think that there is a single. Like, I think that's kind of it for Portsmouth. Genuinely, I'm not saying it all relies on one player, but it's very much like us last season with Matty Fernandez, even though we didn't stay up.
Yeah. Indeed. But look, let's not give them too much thought or airtime anyway. Not worth the effort. Right, let's have another little break and hear from our partners before finishing off the rest of the week's championship action. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. All right, mate, and we are back. Next up on the list, Hull 1, West Brom 0. A penalty in the 8th minute of stoppage time in the first half for Hull. And West Brom get a player sent off later in the game. There's a lot of stoppage time in the first half, isn't it? But, I mean, I can't claim to have watched what happened there, but it sounds like a pretty crazy game, to be honest. But good points for Hull, keeping their sort of run going. 3 wins on the bounce for them now, up in 4th place, and the Baggies sort of struggling and right down that sort of bottom end of the mid-table. It's almost a bit sad to see them.
Got to wonder how long Ryan Mason still has, right? Considering how they haven't been doing great. Hull, on the other hand, we won. They made their 4th. Like their ascendancy continues to rise. Again, it's like Preston, similar sort of vibes of surprise of the season, especially where they kind of just about survived in recent times. So with any luck, I think they're a pretty good side. They beat us, and I think when they beat us, it was well deserved. And I think when we went into that game underestimating them, I don't think there'll be a lot of clubs that underestimate them any further. But
yeah, and as far as Ryan Mason goes, I mean, I've heard lots of West Brom fans who thought he should have been gone after they got beat by us. So, I mean, once that thought becomes part of the stream of consciousness, presumably is only a matter of time. And
it's in the zeitgeist, right? Like, But then saying that, we're also terrible for that, right? But then I think the problem is the reality has usually been when we start getting annoyed as a fan base, they usually end up going, but that's usually because we get annoyed and then they lose 6 on the bounce, and then they wonder why we're annoyed. And
yeah.
But yeah, not exactly probably where they'd want to be right now. But in the flip side, Hull really, really doing well.
Yeah. Next up, Ipswich 3, Sheffield Wednesday 1. No surprises here. Wednesday still, bless them, just about hanging on in there as best they can on -9, right?
-9 is harsh, right?
Yeah, I mean,
-9 is so harsh.
I know it's early in the season and we're not even, 50% of the way through the games played, but
they're so
it's
down.
Surely a done deal.
Absolutely no way they're going to get 30-odd points to come out. And at 30-odd points and hope that nobody else gets anything else for the rest of the season, mate. They are gone.
And not in the, the state of disrepair they've been left in either. And it's sad, but
it's sad.
Ipswich bounce back. They're up high.
It's sad and it's unfair, and the fact that there's still charges floating around other clubs that don't seem to really be going anywhere, it's kind of I do feel really really bad for them. The only good thing is that their current, their most recent owner is out now, and they can kind of get back to it. But it must be awful just to go game in game out, like both for the players and the fans, knowing you're probably going to head into a game losing, knowing that you're not really going to be able to get the sort of what you would want on the field, and it's just feel really bad for them. Hopefully they don't go the way of like a Plymouth who are really struggling League One, right? Like that's where I'm at. I just hope that hope that they are able to get something out of it long term. But credit to Ipswich, you can only beat what's in front of you. That's the other thing. You can't say, and they're exactly kind of where you'd have expected them to be, maybe slightly higher if it wasn't for the fact that Coventry are doing as well as they are. And
yeah, that's it. They're pushing on and sort of sticking up there and amongst it. Like you say, almost where you'd expect them to be. But
they managed to keep their manager for like so long at this point. Almost forgot what it was like to have a manager like more than a season and a bit, right? But hey ho.
Crazy times. Could you possibly imagine? Right, next on the list, QPR 4, Leicester 1. Man, Leicester getting absolutely battered is...
Well, like they lost to us, and then they like came back and they did a little win, and then a little draw, and then a win, and they're supposedly on their way back in. And then obviously there's talks of stuff going on behind the scenes, right? I don't know. There are any rumours like they were talking. We talked about this, right? Which feels a bit like a nothing burger. It feels very much like it's clickbait headlines, right? Where they haven't paid people before Christmas.
Yeah,
which is something
payroll
they usually traditionally
that paying before Christmas was a thing. Is what happened.
But obviously, like I would be surprised if, like behind the scenes, it's like, oh yeah, Christmas this year, we're just going to pay them on like the normal day in like January, and everyone was like, okay, and they just forgot to say everyone was like, where's our pay? I don't know if that's entirely the whole story, but it's like considering people are using it as an excuse to be like, oh, they're not paying the staff. I'm like, no, they're not paying the staff early. That's very different. Like,
very different.
That's not. But obviously the way the headlines are made is to make you think potentially. Yeah. But either way, like,
but they still have this impending points deduction hanging over their head. Yeah,
do they? It's December. Like,
it's still going through the appeal process, as far as I'm aware. They had like an appeal date, I think, 2 weeks ago. So we should surely be hearing something about it by now.
Because like, what happens, right? So they get themselves up the table, they get themselves into like the top places. Well, is it going to come at the end of the season? Like, why is this not sorted out? Like, it's mad.
It's baffling. It is
genuinely like
crazy.
I feel like, to be honest, if I could sort out all of the court processes in, with a much better solution, we wouldn't have all of the problems we have in general in society with backlogs, right? So it is what it is. But it is frustrating, I guess, for them, frustrating for their fans, frustrating around, because also, from the perspective of, clubs that try to do everything fairly, like at the moment, it just kind of feels like you can just get away with it. Like, we've already seen that with, multiple other clubs, and, the fact that Chelsea are just able to buy their own like assets, but it's fine because they're changing the rules, but they're not going to fine anybody because it was within the subset of rules. So like, it is what it is. We're not here to talk finances and this and the other. We're not those types of people.
We'll save that for another episode.
But what it is frustrating and hangs over them, and that's sure to have an effect on and off the field, right? But they don't really know if this is going to happen, where it's going to mean, like how big's the point deduction going to be.
And you can see that, right? Because they're underperforming from where you'd expect them to be. They're in the same points as us, but I think we're underperforming too. So it's going to be an interesting push come the end of the season. And I guess this like busy festive period is I guess for us and for them and sort of all of these teams that are kind of stuck in this mid-table limbo, it's the period of time where you can really turn it around in quick succession, right? Because, between now and, the 2nd of January, 3 or 4 games, that's a big turnaround of points, right? You can really kick into gear, or you can really find yourself sort of struggling and behind the pace quite quickly. So
Well,
be
there's an
interesting to
example of
see.
when people were like, "Oh, we only beat QPR. They're not that good," and it's like, well, this is what the Championship can do, right? And on top of that, it's like the return of their old manager, who's gone on to
Yeah.
brighter things in the first half, going 4-0 down to his old side is always, well, mate. Basically, they did a Nathan Jones.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Rocked up to his old the stomping ground. They got absolutely handed to him. But we'll just have to see what happens with it all. But I just leaves a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. But then there's a lot of things that are dodgy that go on behind the scenes that do. There's no point really whinging too much about it. But he says after spending 5 minutes whinging about it. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Good win for QPR, mate.
Yeah, good win for QPR. Moving on, the Blades, Sheffield United, continue their reclimb of the table. They beat Birmingham City 3-0. I mean, what I've seen a lot of doing the rounds on social media is someone being out there at the start of the season saying, "We're not the Birmingham City that was in the Championship 2 years ago. Mark my words, you'll see." Quote this tweet, and lots of people have been.
Both them and Wrexham just sort of sat together, mate.
Yeah. I mean, it was always going to be tough for them, and I mean, they got absolutely pummeled by the Blades, to be honest. 20 shots, 9 on target.
It's similar when you get a red card, though. It goes one of two ways, right? You either, if you have a team that are good enough to defensively organise, like Coventry did against us, you can minimise the damage where possible, because even then Coventry still let a goal in. It's how we ended up getting an equaliser. But when it comes specifically to Birmingham, you're not going to say that their defence is top 10 Championship defences, right? Or otherwise they wouldn't be where they are. And Sheffield United, you've got a resurgence in form. They clearly were hungry to get the goals. You've got Bamford, who's come in and made a bit of a difference, even a couple of goals contributing to that team is enough for it to be worth their while, right? Because he came in as a free agent. So don't underestimate anybody. But the problem is that a red card like that will always change the game.
Yeah,
the difference being, of course, that they were already 1-0 down at that point. So then it's just damage control as opposed to anything else.
That's it. Much harder to fight back.
Yeah, because then you need to try and score at least some point to at least try and get something out of the game. If not, you just may as well just send everybody off.
Yeah,
is what it is. Fair play to Sheffield United.
Indeed. And our last fixture of the game week, Watford 1, Stoke City 0. Watford go 4 unbeaten. That's 2 wins, 2 draws. Pushing back up towards, I'm guessing, where they want to be, towards those playoff places.
Yeah,
Stoke continue to drop and drop off a bit from their sort of big push at the start of the season. So
Stuff becomes a struggle, doesn't it? That's the problem. As the season goes on, everyone gets tired, and you get all these close amount of games. You've got, we've come into our element a little bit as we've got really, really busy, and a couple of sides have just not been able to maintain where it is. And I think that's you're seeing that with Stoke now. I still think they're a really good side. I think they've been a fantastic side to watch this season. Watford, I think I questioned a couple of weeks ago in our Championship roundup, what was the point of bringing back Garcia? I guess if it continues to be the way that it is currently, it's probably a good move, because, they were very, very close to the bottom, but then also it's tighter than we'd like to think, right? Portsmouth, 21 points, just outside the playoff places with 34. It's not as tight as it was, say, a month or two ago, but there's not a huge amount of points in it.
Starting to spread, and like I say, as we go through this festive period, things will start to become a lot gappier. I think we'll have a much clearer picture in the new year of where everyone is at. And that's it, mate. That's the entire list. That's another week of Championship goodness in the book. And nice to take the opportunity to sit down and look through all of that, because I don't think it's something we're going to get the chance to do until the new year, to be honest, with all the busyness of games and stuff coming up. But as always, thank you, Zach, so much for joining me.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. let us know any highlights of the game week that you have in the socials or in the comments. We are GSPN Southampton everywhere. We're on X, TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. Hit us up, let us know. We love hearing from you. We will be back tomorrow to preview our Boxing Day fixture against Oxford. But until then, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you then.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.